What's up guys, Barry Gaming here, back with some more My Hero Academia, and today we're going to be doing a tier list for some people, kind of like me, who really enjoy the auto battle feature in the game up here. The one where you just click it, you don't have to do it, not only farming, but even in, like operations, things like that. You just enjoy the game a little bit better as a side game where you're not sitting there actively playing the game, having to click all the buttons, and they do it for you. So we're going to go over who the best heroes are for the auto battle mode, because there's some heroes that are really bad, and just stand right in front of every attack. So today we're going to go over that list. So first up on this list has to be by far the best auto battler hero in the game. All Might just is like immune to so many things. He just stands there. So many of his abilities make him actually dodge the incoming attacks. So many times I just send him into any old thing, even like if we're doing special operations or anything like that, or doing any keys that are or permits that are like 14, 13 plus. You can just auto battle him and he has no problem, especially against bosses. Sometimes he struggles a little bit with the chompers out there with the healing waves, but with a little bit of tweaking and button hitting, you can get through him pretty easily. But by far, he is the best auto battler out there. Next up after him though is probably the second best, and I'd have to say that's Tokiyami. So this is a lot like a normal tier list. After this is where it kind of deviates a little bit, but his abilities to fly up in the air, to do his little shadow ball, I like to call it, and everything, it causes him to dodge a lot of damage that a normal melee hero would just get obliterated on. So All Might and Tokiyami, they're very similar in that a lot of their attacks, the animations they go through, they can't really, they can get hit sometimes, but it doesn't knock them down, hit them back, it doesn't break them, anything. They can just stand there, dish out their damage, and plus they are both very good AoE damage dealers. All Might, of course, has his big smash ability. He's got his big old tornado and everything that does ridiculous amounts of damage. And Tokiyami has his nice AoE grip to pull everybody together, and then some AoE damage. Even his base attack hits everybody in front of him for quite a bit of a distance. It's a nice mid-range style attack. But both of these two, S tier by far. They are godly, amazing, great. Now the next one on this list is going to be Izawa, but we're gonna bump the rest of these heroes to A tier and below. Izawa's skill set for the auto battler has him jumping around so much that he just natively dodges a lot of attacks. Between, of course, his sneak ability to kind of go hidden, invisible for a minute. He can jump behind the targets with his abilities too, which again helps him dodge those incoming attacks. I've had a lot of good experiences with Izawa. Granted, I don't have him too strong, so I haven't put him up against really strong opponents. But overall, he does very good. Another one, if you kind of see a trend here, a lot of the melee heroes are really good in this mode. Hiroshima, it feels like something happened with the auto battler just recently. I don't know what it is, but he smart counterattacks a lot of the big damaging abilities that the enemies will have, and it seems like it's gotten better. Back when we first started the game, when it launched on global or NAEU, whatever you want to call it, he seemed to take a lot of hits and not do his counterattack very often. But lately, he's one of them. He's not as high of a damage dealer as these other three, but he really does dodge and negate a lot of damage with his abilities. He's got some really great powers. He's a tanky hero too, so he just does really good sending him in, letting him do his stuff. Sometimes you do want to kind of monitor the gameplay and occasionally do the counterattack for him to make sure you get a good block off, but overall he's very good at what he does. Another hero that is actually surprisingly good because of the Ojiro event, he's been very good as an auto battler on my account. Might be because he's strong on my account. We have him at SSS, so that might be a little part here, so take that with a little grain of salt there. But again, a lot of his abilities have him flipping up in the air, moving around. He's very mobile, which makes him a pretty decent auto battler too. Again, one of the common things here is they're all very melee oriented with some decent mobility as well, and tankiness. So they're really good. And talking about mobility, I'm putting Eeda up there. Yes, Iida's not really the greatest hero overall, but when it comes to auto battling, his abilities that make him zip all over the battlefield make him very good at dodging the enemy attacks while still dishing out damage. Now, does he do a ton of damage? No, of course not. He doesn't do a ton, but when we're talking about auto battling, it's more or less not about the damage capacity, because if it was, Uraraka would be like way up there too. But it comes to mobility and dodging that damage. And if you guys have ever used Eeda or fought against Eeda, fighting against him can be infuriating because he can zip back and forth across the battlefield. Hard to get your hands on him. He's actually pretty solid overall. So I do agree with him as an A tier as far as auto battling goes. From here on out, we're going to move on down to the B tier. So one hero that I was pleasantly surprised with was Kaminari because of his ranged abilities and the fact that just using his auto attack makes him move and flip and dodge and everything. It works out pretty good. Now, his damage cap isn't that amazing again, and he does tend to stand kind of in melee range against a lot of enemies. I think that's maybe the AI thinking it wants to use the W ability, the AoE, more often than it does, plus combined with the fact that his ultimate ability does require melee range. It's hit or miss. That's why B tier. If it wasn't for that fact that the AI wants to run into melee range more often than I would like with Kaminari, I would probably put him up in the A tier. But as far as this goes, I think B tier is a nice solid spot for him. Another hero that is very similar to him is going to be Todoroki. So Todoroki is very similar. He's got some ranged abilities. He's more like a mid-range close combat, but he does have ability to freeze targets, things like that. So it does give him a little more versatility. Now against bosses, he's not as good, which is why he's down in the B tier. Against minion type heroes, he does very, very good. He's got some good AoE style damage right in front of him, like cone damage, I guess you'd call it. But it's very, very good. I like him so far. And Bakugo is another one that kind of falls in that same category. His bullet shot, the little burst shot that he has, is very strong. He does have some decent mobility, but again, not good enough to really put him up in that A tier. And then lastly in this tier, if I even want to, no, I don't want to. I'm gonna put Mineta down into the C tier. I've just really haven't had many good experiences with Mineta, whether I'm controlling him or auto battling outside of the auto battle PvP. So the 6v6 auto battle PvP, he can be absolutely amazing at locking people down and dealing tons of burst damage to a single target. But overall, in the regular auto battle, I haven't had that many great experiences. Another one I have not had great experiences on, Uraraka. I'm kind of tempted to honestly throw her down in the D tier. I can't tell you how many times I've used Uraraka and she goes up in the air and it's like the AI thinks it cannot take damage, but so many, especially bosses, do these AoE abilities that hit both air and ground. I can't tell you how many times I've been infuriated by the auto battle of Uraraka, how slow it is and how stupid it is. It makes her sit in the air, gets immediately knocked back down, then you have to run into melee range, and she just gets clobbered a lot of times in melee range against a lot of different heroes. So D tier, as much as I didn't want to, I'm going to do it. Momo is going to go in the C tier though. She's pretty solid. She's decent. She's got the turrets. The problem with her is once she drops the turrets down, it seems like they just want to throw her right in the thick of things. She doesn't use her shield very often with the auto battler. She just kind of stands there and tries to do her basic attack combo with the turrets going. Her saving grace is the turrets are going, so it does help in the auto battle, but as far as her melee combat, it is very bad, and she ends up on her butt most of the fight. Now, the next one I struggle with, Midoriya, Deku. I'm going to put him in C tier, but I'm honestly almost tempted to put him in D tier. So many of his attacks can just get interrupted. That's the difference between a hero like All Might, where his attacks literally don't get interrupted, and Midoriya's. He could try to be doing his combos, his big kicks, but he just gets knocked on his butt constantly, ruining combos. It's just... I think I'll keep him in the C tier. It's a really big struggle for me on that one, but overall it's not bad. And the last one we're actually going to probably put in the C tier. I was considering putting her in B, but that is our girl Sue, or Froppy, or whatever you like calling her, one of the waifus, you know. Um, she has some decent abilities. The fact that she can go invisible, it does help against the computer AI on auto battle. Overall, it's hit or miss. One thing I'm really anticipating moving forward, though, is the fact that Endeavor will probably coming to the game, and Endeavor will probably be at the very top of this list. But for the sake of this list, we will just, we'll just get him out of here. If I guess it's not gonna let me get him out of here. Get him out of here. But eventually he will be up in the S tier once he comes out. We don't know when he is, but for those of you who do like using auto battle, this is kind of my take and my experiences, who I think does better. So if you're trying to decide, you got like Todoroki, you got Hiroshima and stuff like that, and you don't really like actively playing the game, but you want the auto battle feature to go off, definitely consider these heroes here. If you have any, if you don't agree with any of these, leave a comment down below. I love hearing everybody's feedback, especially since, heroes like Mineta, Momo, Sue, other people might have had better experiences with them as they power up. So again, let me know what you guys think. Hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Make sure you guys take 1 second, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.